And today I am joined by David Wakogy. He is the coordinator of Friends of Ondiri Wetlands. Yeah. Karibu sana to Squared. Tumekuona hapo mkipanda miti. Good job that you're doing. Good
Thank
job.
you. Thank you very much.
So before hata tuendelee na hii story, what is Friends of Ondiri Wetlands?
Where the Friends of Ondiri Wetlands is?
Okay, what is it? It's an organization. It's people just from the community, or how is this? How did it come about?
Friends of Ondiri Wetland is an organization that came together or brought people together to do conservation work at Ondiri Wetland, which is essentially the biggest water reservoir we have in Kikuyu constituency.
Yeah.
And therefore, we were able to lobby around Kikuyu and brought together the leaders, the opinion leaders. We brought together the faith-based organization leaders. We brought the administrators on board.
Yeah.
And we brought the like-minded people as we said yes to the conservation of that wetland.
Yeah. Okay, and it's not only the biggest water reservoir in Kikuyu, but it's also, Ondiri Swamp, I realize, is also the biggest wetland in Africa, the second biggest after one in Douala in Cameroon. So yeah, so you're also conserving a very big, what is it called? I think we can call it even a heritage, Kenya's heritage, one of Kenya's heritage sites. So it's a wonderful thing that you're doing. You've talked about wetlands. Before this conversation continues, what are wetlands? How are they different from rivers? I was asking someone and they were thinking it's like a lake, or what are they? What are wetlands?
Actually, even a river is a wetland. A wetland is the place where water meets land. So therefore, even a river is a wetland. But what makes Ondiri Wetland a unique wetland is the fact that one, it is the second deepest wetland in Africa, but the one in Douala, Cameroon. The other thing is that it's a quacking bog that when you step on it, you have that feeling of a trampoline, like a bouncing castle, because
okay.
the wetland.
That is what a bog is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, about 150 years ago,
Yeah.
the place was an open lake. So when Kikuyu interacted with the outside world, when we got foreigners, they came and saw a lake that they called Old Lake. So people couldn't say Old Lake, so they said Ondiri, and that's where the name came from. But due to many years of human and natural activities, the place was covered by something we call peat. Peat is like fossils, dead plants.
Okay.
So it is about 40 centimeters thick. And then on top of it, vegetation has grown.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a quacking bog.
Oh, is it dangerous if you step and you like swing, like sink uko chini?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah?
You can. Actually, myth has it that if you fall in Ondiri, you'll be recovered in Naivasha. But of course, probably that was said because parents wanted to discourage their kids from going to Ondiri because it's a really very interesting phenomenon.
Yeah.
And many people want to go there and experience.
And watch it, and see what it's all about. It's not a river, it's not a lake, it's not land.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Okay. Why Naivasha? Because is it fed by Lake Naivasha? Does the water come down from there? Or
what I can say is that for many years, many people thought that Ondiri was the breather of Lake Naivasha.
Okay.
But science has proven that to be quite different because the waters that we have at Ondiri Wetland is from the Abadeas.
Yeah.
And Ondiri stands at 2,000 meters above sea level.
Yeah.
Naivasha is at 1,884 meters above sea level. So you can see Ondiri is on higher ground.
Higher, yeah. Oh, so it's actually not even possible. All right. So how did you get into this conservation efforts and why settle on the Ondiri swamp, conserving that ecosystem?
One, we had an administrator who was called Paul Famba. He was a deputy county commissioner. So one fine afternoon, he called me in his office and told me, David, I'm here on a call of duty. And when my work is done, I'll leave this place. So even if I work towards the wetland and the conservation of the wetland, maybe the people who will come after me will not really be very much concerned about it.
Yeah.
So I want to mandate you as a resident to make sure that you bring people together,
yeah,
and you conserve your own ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And we were able to come together with many friends and the community leaders, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
And that's how we conserved the wetland.
Okay.
Around that time, it was almost like the tragedy of the commons, whereby everybody was making maximum use of it.
Yeah.
We had the solid waste dumpsters who are doing a lot of
Dumping.
We had the raw sewer menace. We had people who are directing raw sewer from the nearby Kikuyu town into the wetland.
Yeah.
We had people who are using chemical fertilizers
On their farms?
Actually, the land
Yeah.
that is next to the riparian
Yeah.
of the wetland. We had people who are abstracting that the water from that wetland
Yeah.
without any form of regulation. For instance, we had the Chinese contractor who did the southern bypass from Ole Sereni to Gitaru, where it terminates.
Yeah.
And he abstracted water from that wetland. So therefore, as a leader, as a person who has grown up in that community, something had to be done.
Yeah.
And that is how we got inducted into this course.
How much have you done so far?
Basically, I can say that the things that I have mentioned that used to happen have now been stopped completely. We don't have any encroachment into the wetland. We don't have the mushrooming of greenhouses. No use of chemical fertilizers around the wetland. No dumping of waste into the wetland. There is no sewer that is spilling into the wetland. And of course, we had some fodder harvesters who used to harvest a lot of fodder from the wetland because it has a whole grassland of vegetation.
And fodder for their animals.
Yeah, for the animals. And then during the dry season, they would burn the whole place. And wetlands are called biological supermarkets because they are very diverse in both flora and fauna. So therefore, we were able to stop that completely. And right now, I can say that it's a place that you'd even want to go and enjoy, interact with nature.
Yeah. So what is in Ondiri Swamp? If I go there right now, apart from the swamp, what else is around that area?
Ondiri Wetland is also a bird watching paradise. We have over 76 species of birds which have been spotted by Nature Kenya. And that was actually, we invited them, and on December 15, 2019, they were on ground. And within 3 hours, they had been able to spot 76 species of birds.
Oh, wow.
And also, there are some very nice nature trails that you can go and enjoy. You can walk around. We have also been able to work with government agencies like Water Resource Authority and have the whole place fenced, because the wetland has circumference of 3.3 kilometers.
Okay.
The water is cleaner, so you can also go and drink water from the wetland.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, also it is very photogenic. You can go there for photos. I mean, it's really an attraction.
Okay, so environment lovers and all of you who love hiking, there's a nature trail, a very beautiful nature trail in Kikuyu. I'm sure you can find your way to Ondiri Swamp. Ukishafika Kikuyu, just ask the residents. They are very friendly. They'll take you to Ondiri Swamp.
Sure.
What I needed to ask, why is it important to conserve those wetlands? Why is it so important as Kenyans that we know how to conserve wetlands, and why is it important to our land?
First of all, I must say that the first environmental convention that happened was in the early 70s, which happened in a city called Ramsar by the Caspian Sea in Iran. And that is called the Ramsar Convention. And in that convention, the world agreed to conserve the wetlands. So Kenya became a subscriber of the Ramsar Convention in the 90s, early 90s.
Okay.
And Kenya identified 6 wetlands of international importance. One of it is the Tana River Delta. Mm-hmm. We have Lake Naivasha, Lake Nakuru, Lake Elementaita, Lake Bogoria, and Lake Baringo, respectively.
Yeah.
And those sites today, as you look at what is happening, for instance, Lake Baringo has sustained communities for many years.
Yeah.
And it has been a center of tourism, agriculture, and many other activities.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about food security, that place used to feed the communities, the surrounding communities.
Yeah, it was a bread
basket. But today, we are having a very serious looming crisis.
Yeah.
Because Lake Baringo, as I said, a freshwater lake, is about to mix or to meet with the Lake Bogoria, which is a saline lake.
Yeah.
And that will present the worst ecological crisis in this country. Mm-hmm. And what that will mean is that the marine life at Bogoria, I mean Lake Baringo, will go. The communities that have depended on Lake Baringo will also have to look for other alternatives.
Yeah.
So my point is that conserving our environment is one of the most important aspects of our existence. Mm-hmm. Without our environment, we cannot be who we are. Because when we wake up in the morning, everything that we interact with, the air, the water we use to make breakfast and even to take a shower is from the environment, given to us by the environment.
Very true.
And therefore, if we don't take care of our environment, then it means that we are doomed as a society.
Yeah. And it's so interesting that we're having this conversation because just recently, this week, we saw what happened to our roads. It rained. One night of rain has caused so much havoc in Nairobi. What are your thoughts? Where do you think we have gone wrong?
Where we have gone wrong is that we have encroached into the areas that belonged to nature. If you look at, if you move around Nairobi, you'll hear people saying that this place was called swamp because it was swampy. And you essentially find that people have built houses and people are occupying those places.
Yeah.
When the missionaries came here and then we had the traders, and Nairobi became the capital city of Kenya. By then, Nairobi used to belong to the Maasai people. And it was called Enkari Nairobi, which means a place of cool water.
Yeah.
Because this place had a lot of, clean water, clean to drink water.
Yeah.
When Nairobi became a municipality 102 years ago, they chose a bird that is very unique to wetlands. It's called gray-crested crane bird, which is also the emblem of Uganda. And the reason why they chose that bird was because Nairobi had a lot of water, water that could sustain the populations.
Yeah.
But over time, you have seen that, in fact, when Nairobi became a city, because Nairobi acquired the city status in 1954, they retained the same bird.
Yeah.
And after the promulgation of the new constitution in 2010, they have retained the same bird. It is the emblem of the Nairobi City County.
Yeah,
so you can imagine that Nairobi many years ago used to be a haven of,
clean water
and safe to drink water.
Yeah.
Today, if you look at the biggest river that is flowing in Nairobi, that is Nairobi River, which, comes from Ondiri.
Yeah.
You'll find that it is fully contaminated.
True.
And society, if you want to know a society, look at the way it treats its rivers and its ecosystems, the ecosystems that are there.
Yeah.
So therefore, we have nothing to smile about as far as our environment is concerned.
Yeah, it's actually very sad, very, very sad that you're conserving one part, but downstream, it's also, no one is actually taking that initiative. You've talked about Nairobi River flowing from Ondiri Swamp. You have done so much for that area, Ondiri, that you make sure that the water that is flowing down to Nairobi River is clean. Only for it to come down to Nairobi to get here, and it's a mess, a different color. First and foremost, it's unsafe for drinking. How does that make you guys feel upstream? Oko Ondiri.
On 2nd of February,
yeah,
we were celebrating the World Wetlands Day.
Yeah.
So we joined the government in Kilifi because, as I mentioned, Ondiri is the source of Nairobi River.
Yeah.
And also is the source of Athi River. And you know, Athi River is the biggest river basin we have in the Republic of Kenya. So as residents and as people who are conserving environment upstream, we wanted to see how the waters get into the Indian Ocean. And I can tell you that it enters the ocean at a place called Sabaki Estuary.
Yeah.
And when you go to that estuary, you will not even want to look at it twice because it is completely contaminated. And you can imagine the kind of chemicals, the kind of field that river carries all the way to the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
And the communities downstream are suffering a lot because some people somewhere are irresponsible. They are not taking care of the environment. They are not taking care of their river.
Yeah.
And you see, nobody can claim ownership of the waters of the river because it is flowing.
Yeah.
So the responsibility of each community is to ensure that they do not become the pollutants of the river that is passing by, you know?
Yeah.
Because there is another person downstream who is depending on the waters of that river.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe you can look at this camera and talk to people who are watching. Maybe explain to them practically how you work hard to try and maintain the water that's coming from Ondiri right to their doorsteps. If they are using Nairobi River, how they can make sure that even the other people who are using it will get it as clean as it leaves Ondiri Oko upstream. How can they make sure that they are maintaining that river to be as good as it gets to them from Ondiri?
First of all, I must say that in this society, we have a very bad culture that we only keep the law when there is someone watching us. So, like if you are in a matatu, you'll find that people are looking for safety belts when they see the cops. And that is a very bad thing. People will not obey the curfew, the curfew hours until they see the cops.
Yeah.
And that is a bad thing because you may not have the police everywhere to make you keep law as far as the environmental matters are concerned. And therefore, I would say that it is our own responsibility. As the American president, JFK, said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So the most important question to ask ourselves, especially in the field of environment, is what is it that we can do for our environment, but not what our environment can do for us, because Mother Nature has already done so much for us, and it is therefore important to do what we can in our own small way. For instance, 2nd of February happens to be my birthday. And that was the time that I went to Kilifi Estuary. And I launched a challenge, a personal challenge that I was calling 100 Days Tree Planting Challenge. And I was planting a tree a day until I hit the mark, 100 trees. And that is not the end of it.
Yeah.
And therefore, and you see, a tree that, if you plant one tree, that tree is capable of giving oxygen to 4 people.
Just repeat that again.
Yeah. One tree is capable of giving oxygen to 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
And also, trees also help a lot in filtering the air,
Yeah.
the air we breathe, because for sure, pollution has really affected our air,
Yeah.
the air that we breathe.
Mhm.
So when we plant trees, it helps a lot in
Yeah.
filtering
The
that.
air.
Also, another thing that is most important is that trees also help a lot in sequestering the carbon dioxide that is in the atmosphere. Actually, and that is also part of why we are very passionate about wetlands, is that also wetlands sequesters 30% of the atmospheric carbon. And it is so sad that wetlands are disappearing 10 times faster than the forest in this world.
What does sequestering mean?
Absorbing.
Okay,
Yes.
absorbing. They absorb. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They are disappearing 10 times faster than forests.
Yes.
Oh, wow. What can we do? What can we do?
What we can do is
with forests, you can plant trees. With wetlands, it's natural. It's a natural resource. You can't pour water into a place and decide that it's going to be a wetland. How can we save them?
You see, wetlands are also recharge of the boreholes. I mean, borehole water. Most of the places, including Kikuyu, where I come from, that is where we get most of our water from. And therefore, we need to make sure that we are conserving environment in our own small ways by first of all ensuring that if it's like the owners of car wash, they make sure that those businesses are not spilling water. I mean that the oil is not spilling into the open spaces into the wetlands. So they should have soak pits that helps to filter the
water that is draining.
The water that is draining into the wetlands and into our homes.
Yeah.
The other thing is that we should make sure that we protect the wetlands and all the water catchment areas, making sure that we protect the integrity of the riparian spaces.
Yeah.
Because the encroachment into the riparian spaces is what has made our wetlands even to be more at risk.
Mm-hmm.
Because today, one person will encroach into the riparian land, assuming that it is a no man's land.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow another person will say, if that guy occupied that place, why not me go in a step further? Mm-hmm. So therefore, that is a very important aspect of. The other thing is that I have seen that we have a very serious problem with the dumping, whereby even when guys buy candies and other stuff, they just dump, And what happens is that when you dump that that paper, that small paper that was holding that candy, that ends up into the water bodies. If there are some fish downstream, what will happen is that they will eat that and eventually they will die.
They choke.
So I mean, those are some of the things that we should be taken care of.
Okay, before I let you go, the way that we have built so many apartments, building, and everyone is saying, maji yangu toka kwa borehole, maji yangu toka kwa borehole. Is that affecting the wetlands?
If you have a granary that you cannot be able to see how much you are getting, how much food you are taking, because probably when you get to it, your eyes are closed and you're just removing. Eventually, you might find that you don't have any food remaining.
Okay.
And that is the same thing that the abstraction of of water in boreholes, most of the time, is not even regulated.
Yeah.
It's not even put on check. And therefore, what happens is that people may get surprised at some point. I remember in Kikuyu, there was a research that was done after the residents started saying that the water levels in boreholes were going down.
Yeah.
And it was because the wetland, Ondiri Wetland, was drying. It was actually the water levels were going down.
Yeah.
Yeah? Even the only stream that we have at Ondiri Wetland had almost dried. So therefore, you can see that it is very important to make sure that even the government agencies that that works in those departments like NEMA, Water Resource Authority, ensures that even the abstraction of water is regulated. And also people understand that the more they abstract that water, and we are not protecting the source. For instance, I'm going to say this, that Ondiri Wetland is the recharge of Kikuyu Springs. Kikuyu Springs is the oldest source of piped water for the city of Nairobi, which was connected in 1906. And for all those years, Nairobi has benefited from Ondiri Wetland. But nobody really wants to go and, check on the source. They just want to get the water at the tap, but nobody wants to go and, find out where is this source and how is this source able to provide us with so much water for all these years.
Have you been able as an organization to lobby for the authorities to start checking on that kind of abstraction? Like Kikuyu right now, there are so many apartments that have just come up, and if you come down, even down that road, the bypass and everything, you're just seeing buildings just propping up every other day. Is there a way that you're lobbying the authorities to check on these boreholes, or what are you guys doing?
Yeah, Water Resource Authority is very active as far as following up on the boreholes that are there around the country, and how they abstract in water, and also they put meters, their own independent meters. Also, we have National Environmental Management Authority who are doing a fantastic job.
Okay.
Like now at Ondiri Wetland, they are helping us to have a management plan.
Okay.
So that now we may have a common port of entry and harmony in our work, so that now if we get a partner who wants to come and do something, they don't just give us what they think is right, but now there will be a proper guideline on how to go about it.
Okay, fantastic. Good job that you guys are doing. I want to read the comments. Sorry. Thank you guys for tuning in. And all right, I'm seeing people saying show iko fire. Asante sana Brad. Michael is saying Nick, oh damn, flow iko tight. Oh, Nico, damn, flow iko tight. Okay, that was the artist who was here before. And Felix is saying show ni moto. I love the band. Thank you so much, Felix. And Caroline is asking, what can we do as a country to conserve our beautiful Nairobi River, having in mind that it's proven to contain dangerous components like barium, lead, and others, and they threaten, or they bring along life-threatening diseases. We had covered that, yeah? I think we had answered that question, Caroline. And guys, keep your questions, your thoughts coming. Even as I let David go, he's still gonna be in touch with us. So whatever questions that you want, let us know. And we are going to, keep in touch and also connect you to him. So if you want to also visit the nature trail at Ondiri, yeah? There's amazing things that you're doing there and to conserve that. And I am seeing, oh wow, there are actually more questions that are coming. Daniel Kamau is, okay, Brad Asante Sana, he's saying good conversations. Ian is asking, during the dry season, can people get water from Ondiri or it's not allowed?
Yeah, they can. They can.
Okay, in the environment, they can, the guys who live around, they come to fetch water there.
Actually, they do that all the time. When we started our work in 2016, we had about 44 water pumps.
Yeah.
But what we said is that the riparian landowners have a right to abstract water, but it must also be regulated.
Okay.
Because water cannot just be abstracted from a source without a reservoir.
Yeah.
And without it being metered.
Okay.
So therefore, those are some of the things that we had to work on when we started our work at the wetland.
At the wetland. Okay, Daniel is saying, tuned in from Kikuyu. Oh, it's so nice to see guys from Kikuyu tuning in. Thank you so much, Daniel. He's saying, Daniel, tuned in from Kikuyu. It seems he has great knowledge of environmental history. Anasema, it seems you have great knowledge of environmental history.
Oh,
yes, he does. He's a wealth of knowledge. So if you want to catch up with him, enda pale Ondiri utampata. Felix anasema, this guy is very learned. He has taught me more, more in a few minutes than what I learned in my geography classes back in high school. I know, Felix, me too. I've learned so much between those few minutes that we've had this conversation. George Kahumba anasema, tuned from Kikuyu town. Big up, Kiongozi. Asante sana, George. Kenneth Huria anasema, nice presentation. Thank you so much, Kenneth, for watching. And I hope all of you guys who are watching us from Kikuyu, you're subscribing. Mna watch, mna subscribe. Hapo chini. Na mna share a link to your friends. Yeah, I said before I started interviewing David that I'm so proud because Kikuyu is my hometown, you know? So, nasikia tu ka pride kengine when we're having this conversation. Michael is asking, do locals in that area understand the importance of conserving the environment? And how are you engaging with the ordinary person, and how can all of us participate?
Yeah, I can say that the great people of Kikuyu love the environment because what we are doing at Ondiri, it is the collective effort of all those people. Actually, those are people that are well known to me. And I can tell you for a fact that they have been at the forefront. They are the unsung heroes of this cause. And therefore, I can say that Kikuyu has become a model. In fact, when your team came on the ground, they had the NEMA team say that Ondiri Wetland is the easiest place that they have been able to work with the locals, because it is the locals that invited the government. It is not the government that started working and called the locals to come and join them.
Yeah.
So therefore, Kikuyu is, we call it the gateway to the Kenyan highlands. And that's a model on how the conservation of environment should be done.
That's true. Should come from the environment. There's another part of that question he was asking. How are you engaging with the ordinary person, and how can all of us participate?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
First of all, we have an activity that we call Trees for Birthdays. That when you have a birthday, you can come down and plant a tree, and we give you that seedling for free. And you spot it and you adopt it, that now you can be coming down there to check on it and to see how it is doing.
Yeah.
The other thing is that now and in future, there will be no entry fee into the wetland. So that people can come and enjoy that nature.
That's nature.
And they can be able to enjoy. Like now I told you about the amazing species of birds we have.
76,
we have birds like mountain nightjar, which is a nocturnal bird.
Yeah.
And it is such a fabulous bird. We have birds like the gray-crested crane bird.
Yeah.
We have birds like the Jackson widow bird. I mean, birds that you'll come and really get amazed by what nature has for us.
Bird watchers, this is your paradise, your next paradise for bird watching, yeah? Then, wow, we have questions coming in. I have seen, Brad is saying, is it true to say that lack of sanitation facilities lead to the direct dumping of toilet waste into the river?
Actually, that is a very good question. And what I can say, and this is probably going to be the next big thing here in Nairobi and her environs, things like pit latrines are very dangerous to our environment, because what happens is that all that waste permeates into the water table, soaks into the water table.
Yeah.
And now what happens is that the boreholes that we get, because not many apartments, not many residentials whose water is boreholes or dependent on boreholes, purifies the water. So people drink that water direct as it is. So therefore, it is the responsibility of the players in the field, the citizens and the government, to make sure that they phase out the pit latrines.
Okay.
Also, make sure that the sanitary facilities we have, both private and public, do not have the latrines or do not take that waste into the ground, but it is properly directed into the existing sewer systems.
Okay. Let's continue. Beatrice is saying, we saw them planting trees on the mtaani. Can he share on that too? You actually did. You talked about your initiative, 100, it was 100
days tree planting challenge.
100 days tree planting challenge. It was for your birthday.
Actually, I was just challenging myself in asking what is the little thing that I can do to improve my environment. So everywhere I went for the 100 days, I made sure that I planted a tree.
A tree.
Right from Kilifi all the way to Kikuyu.
Wow.
Where the challenge ended.
So those were your friends?
To be part of us.
Oh, awesome. And those were also your friends who joined in?
Yes,
to help you?
Actually, we invited people to come and join.
Yeah.
And we got many people. Actually, what happened is that, because also when we are doing tree planting, we also look at the benefit of those trees to the community. Like now, for instance, we took 100 has avocados to that home. Because when many people are going to orphanages.
Oh, that was an children's home.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when many people go to orphanages, they take handouts, they take unga, they take clothes.
That's true.
Which is good. But also, we must look at what we call sustainable development. And by taking 100 has avocados, which we planted with the friends and the kids of that home, we made sure that in 3 years' time, they will be able to have enough capital, because that is in itself an income generating activity. And also they'll have enough avocados that they will be taking from that home.
So nutritionally,
and actually, in Africa, we are the leading producers of avocados.
Yeah.
So what like now we are doing as environmentalists is that when we go to places like people's farms, because even there are some people who invited us to go and plant in their farms. There are some institutions like public schools where we planted, and other institutions, we made sure that we did fruit trees. So that also they can have the benefit to the people that are there.
Not just planting trees for the sake of planting. Okay. So as we continue with your questions, guys, keep them coming. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. We are enjoying hearing from you guys. Roads Tours, greatly representing us. David, our coordinator, Friends of Ondiri, help me invite everyone to come tour the wetlands. So I think that is one of your friends also.
Yeah, that is Sam. And Sam has an amazing activity around the wetland.
Yeah.
He's our to-go-to person as far as matters ecotourism are concerned.
Oh, wow.
And one thing that makes him very unique is the fact that he promotes small destinations. Like now, the guys that are here, if you ask them, do you know Ondiri?
Yeah.
I'm sure that no one of them have, apart from those who came on that day.
Yeah.
The rest, probably, they only hear about
it
in the news.
Today.
Right?
They're hearing about it today mostly. Okay, we will promote this, and I hope anyone who watches this content, even long after we are done with this show, they are going to come and tour Ondiri and see what you guys have to offer. Michael Black is saying, but we are always told that water in Nairobi comes from Dakaini. Akona swali hapo anashanga, so which is true? Inakuja kutoka Dakaini?
Of course. When the planners of these cities did it, they were planning for 2 million inhabitants. But now we have over, we are about to hit 10 million, right? So therefore you may see that there is need for more alternative sources of water. But the oldest source of piped water for the city of Nairobi was Kikuyu Springs, which is in Kikuyu, and whose recharge is Ondiri Wetland.
Oh, okay. Hey, we are being schooled today. We are being schooled. Tutarudi kwa shule kuangalia hizi vitabu tulikuwa tunadanganywa ama ni nini. Anyway, Roads Tours is saying, hearing makes us think while seeing makes us believe. That's true. Welcome to Ondiri, courtesy of Roads Tours. Asante sana. Roads Tours, tutakuja kuvisit. Beatrice is saying, few people know how the name Ondiri came about. Can you share about that as well? I think you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Old Lake.
But I can very quickly say that when Muzungu came to Kikuyu, he saw a lake that the locals were calling Kahenia. Kahenia is something that shines. And he said, this is an old lake. So people started saying Ondiri. So Ondiri is a corruption of Old Lake.
Yeah, only Kikuyus can get that, baby. Only a Kikuyu person will understand that. Brad is saying, can Can we say that government negligence has led to industrial waste piling the Nairobi River?
What I can say is that I don't want to squarely blame the government for the menace in our rivers and our, in our ecosystems, because we as the residents, also the locals, we have a role to play. We have some very perfect examples around the country. We have like the Ndarengare in Nanyuki. We have friends of Ondiri who are at Ondiri. We have guys at Kinale Forest, where we have the biggest zip lining in East Africa, who are doing a fantastic job in the conservation of the environment. So what is most important is to look at our local environment and see what we can do about it. Right?
Yeah.
So if you see a space that needs a tree, just do it. If you see a space that needs a flower, just do it.
Yeah.
Don't wait for that other person. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that the government is formed by me and you. I'm sure that you have a list of many people that you know who work in government.
Yeah.
So government is made of humans. So it is us to make sure that we are leading by example.
Yeah.
And we are piling pressure on government where it fails.
That's true.
So that now we are able to make sure that it is a collective effort. Mm-hmm. We are not saying that we are waiting for some people to come from somewhere to come and do this. It's us.
It's us.
We are the change, as Obama says. We are the change that we have been waiting for.
And we are the change we want to see on this.
And we are the change that we want to see in the world.
Yeah, that's so true. So finally, the last comment that I have here is Daniel is asking, is it possible to invite that organization to plant trees in our school? Then do they sell seedlings? I think they want to invite you guys to plant trees in their school, and then whether you sell seedlings.
Yeah, we go to school, so we only need to know where. Also, we never sell seedlings. We receive seedlings as donations, and we give them freely. Because yes, they come, because we don't want to make an enterprise around what we are very passionate about.
Okay.
Because if we start, like now, if you have a birthday and you come, we give you a seedling and tell you to give some money. That one will not really be very encouraging. We want you to plant, knowing that you did it for free. So you'll be free to come and take care of your tree and to check on it and to see how it is doing.
And to even bring other people to come and do the same.
Yeah, and to even bring, actually, our next phase of environmental conservation around Kikuyu is making sure that we work with all the schools, so that when we have students who are clear in their academic journey, like those who are in primary school, when they are doing their KCPE, those who are in high school, when they are doing their KCSE, they plant a tree.
Okay.
As a remembrance that they passed that path.
They were in that school.
Yes.
That is amazing, amazing stuff that you're doing. We are so proud of what you're doing. Daniel, I think you can share the name of your school, and then we'll get in touch. We can keep you in touch with David here, and you can have that conversation on the side. Michael is saying, what can be done in arid areas, picking from this conversation?
One, they are very nice trees. There are some trees that do very well in arid spaces. Trees like moringa, which Kefri, Kenya Forestry Research Institute, have in plenty. They can also get a lot of guidance on how to go about converting the arid areas into productive spaces, especially through tree planting. So therefore, I can request them to get in touch with the Kefri office. Kefri, actually the headquarters are in Kikuyu.
That's true.
So basically, if they want to get in touch with us, we can connect them with the Kefri people.
And Kefri is a beautiful, beautiful area. They have also done a good job in the environment. Caroline is saying, great job, David. The environment will surely reward your efforts. That is so true.
Thank you.
That is very, very true. And not only the environment, even future generations, they will reward the efforts that you're putting in to conserve that area and even the county at large. And I hope it's replicated in other places that we can, take care of these very crucial areas of our environment that, are feeding so many parts of the nation. But
Sure.
good job. Good
Thank
job
you.
to,
Thank you so much.
to you guys. Wow, that was such an insightful conversation. I feel like I have gone to class. Nimepatiwa diploma, diploma in like geography and environmental studies. But it has been awesome, and I hope you guys have also enjoyed wherever you are watching us from. Thank you so much for your feedback and the questions that you asked. They were so insightful.